Hi there folks, so welcome back to my channel, and for this video I'm going to be doing another little segment for my history, myths and legends section for my channel. And for this video I'm going to be looking at a kind of legend or a kind of bit of mythology from the Shetland Isles, or from Shetland, which is off the north coast of Scotland. The Shetland's actually to the north of Orkney, and is actually closer to Norway than it is to Edinburgh. And a wee bit of historical information. Shetland and Orkney were actually once part of Norway before they were gifted to the King of Scots as part of a wedding dowry, and they've been part of Scotland ever since. So there is kind of quite a strong kind of Norse influence on places like Shetland. And I don't know if maybe this might be an aspect to this story. It might be a bit of a kind of Norse influence, and that could be something that could be looked into more. But the figure that I'm going to be talking about a bit more for this video is called a Wulver, and it pretty much does seem to be something that is predominantly a feature of Shetland. But I will be talking a bit more about that in a second after I do a bit of housekeeping. If you are enjoying my videos, if you are enjoying my channel, if you can click on that subscriber button, click on the notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, it's always really appreciated. And if you would like to support the channel further, I will be posting a link to the channel's coffee.com page in the description bar below, as well as in a pinned comment in the comment section. So back on to the main topic of the video, the Wulver. So the Wulver itself, as I was saying, is pretty much something that is associated with Shetland. I've never kind of seen any other kind of location given for the Wulver. And it, as a creature itself, it's kind of quite a large creature, quite a large mythological creature who has the head of a wolf and the body of a man, and is covered head to toe in fur. And as a figure, he's never known to have been human in the first place. He's always seen or associated with just always being in this form. He's not seen as being a shapeshifter, never known for kind of shifting form. He's just body of a man, head of a wolf. But he is still often referred to as being Scotland's werewolf, or Shetland's werewolf. And it has actually been kind of seen as being a bit of a misnomer because of the differences between the general stories of the European werewolf, or werewolves in general, and stories of the Wulver. Because often with the werewolf, it's seen as being a human from the majority of the time, often seen as being cursed, and is forced to transform into a wolf at least once a month under the full moon, and has an insatiable bloodlust and need to eat human flesh. While the Wulver doesn't shapeshift, as I guess I was saying before, is always in the form of this kind of body of a man, head of a wolf. But it's also the fact that with the Wulver, he's kind of not aggressive at all, and tends to kind of live in a remote, inaccessible cave that only he seems to be able to get to. And whenever he is seen, because he's usually always staying out of the way of humans, but whenever he is seen, he's usually sitting on a rock out in the sea fishing, because that's what he eats fish. And the stone that is often associated with the Wulver and seen as being the site where he fishes is referred to as the Wulver Stone, or the Wulver Stone. And one of the kind of sweet aspects of this story is that it has been claimed that in the past that poor families in Shetland have been given gifts of fish in order to kind of help them put food on the table, and the fish has been said to come from the Wulver himself. So even though he kind of has the appearance of possible looking like a werewolf, characteristic wise, kind of personality wise. As a mythological figure, the Wulver does not act like what you'd expect from a werewolf. And even though the Wulver isn't that famous worldwide, possibly isn't even that famous in Scotland, it has been suggested that the whole root of the story of the Wulver could come from cases of people having what is being called werewolf syndrome, which is when somebody's covered head to toe in fur or covered head to toe in hair. So their faces, their bodies, their hands covered in hair. And they would be reclusive and would want to say to the road to people that people could see them and misinterpret what they've seen and come up with this story of the Wulver. But there have been others who have debated against that and have tried to claim that that's not the case, that there's another reason for these stories. But I do personally think that whatever the origin of the Wulver, whatever the reason for why we have this story, I still think that as a story itself, as a mythological creature, as a piece of folklore, it's still kind of probably one of my favourite kind of softer stories from Scottish folklore. Because as you can probably all already know, there's a lot of blood, guts, gore and darkness in Scottish folklore, and the Wulver seems to be kind of one of the softer stories within Scottish mythology and folklore. And I do have a bit of a kind of soft spot for the Wulver. It's kind of one of my favourites just for the fact that it is kind of the softer side of things. And I personally do think that the Wulver, as a mythological creature, as a mythological figure, could probably do with being more famous. Because again, I just kind of like the story itself. So that's my little brief quick overview of the story of the Wulver. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.